Right, back on it with a GoPro again, like OG times. So today we're gonna wash this spare 99 NB transmission. Yeah, it's a little bit nasty here because the original car, the donor car, had some oil leaks. So as you can see right there, it's kind of crusty, but the original owner said that this thing's pretty bulletproof. I mean, you can see over here that it's pretty clean. So this is pretty consistent with the rear main seal, half moon seal leaking. So I'm gonna take this, take some purple power that I put in this Zep bottle, and I got this little moving dolly from Harbor Freight, pretty cheap. And then I'm gonna finally use my badass JDM freaking pressure washer. Look at that, 3200 PSI. So we're gonna blast all this shit off, and just make sure that you cover your drive shaft hole, your shifter turret hole, and your right here I actually put this chrome tape over the speedo hole, and that's pretty much it. Make sure that you don't shoot too close. Depending on what kind of pressure washer you have, 3200 PSI is a lot. You don't want to shoot too close to like sensors and stuff. Before we start pressure washing, we're gonna spray this thing down with purple power. We're gonna let it sit on there for a good 10-15 minutes to break all this crap down. FYI, this stuff is very toxic, so wear a mask or try not to be downwind from it. So just soak it. Make sure you get a good coating on there. And this is why you want to cover all those holes. See that? All this stuff's already coming off, which is crazy. So we let it sit on here. If you have, you don't want to use this stuff on, say, polished aluminum or anything like that, because it'll etch the aluminum. So if you're gonna use this in your engine bay, which I do, I would dilute it with some water or simple green. Jeez. Boom, oil. Let's put a little bit on your O-ring, then insert and twist. There you go. Not bad. I want to work a little bit more on these corners, but you see this, where there's gaskets in the way? I'm trying to avoid hitting those too hard. Same with this area right here, because you don't want to blow through the gasket, especially like these areas right here. See how the silicone's still there? So you don't want to blow through those too bad. So there's a crack here that the case gets assembled, and anywhere in between you could kind of just blast that full blast if you wanted to. All right, we're in the backyard. This is the finished tranny. Check that out. Ridiculously clean. This thing is pretty damn dirty. Look at my leg. Look at all the grease that came off this thing and right on me. Totally worth it though. I mean, you can't see it, but what I always say is start clean, stay clean, and end up clean. You're good, you know? Look at that, perfect. Now I did try to avoid the crevices, you know, where the castings kind of meet, where they have a gasket and whatnot. You don't want to blow water through that, but everything else seems to be pretty damn good. Now I'm going to be inserting a new turret on here, and new fluid and stuff, so we should be good. And I gotta change all of the gaskets and the boots and the shift fork. So quick, I would say quick mini rebuild, just to make sure that this thing won't leak. New gaskets like this seal right here. We're gonna replace all that. Inside the bell housing right here was a total nightmare. It's just gunk everywhere and like layers and layers of dirt and grease and just total crap. And I cleaned the hell out of it. Let's go closer here. You can see inside there. Look at that. All right, last phase of the cleanup. I hit it with this wire wheel and check it out. Looks pretty good. It's got a slight shine to it, but you know, I don't want to polish this thing because you can't see it, but I wanted to knock out all of the residual dirt that was on there, built up stuff and like minor burrs and stuff, and it looks pretty good. I like it. I'm happy with it. Really, really clean. Look at that. Yeah, I know you can't see this, and some of the guys are wondering why would you even waste time to do this, but yeah, I got time. It's quarantine week 5, whatever it is now. Look at that. Look at that. So clean. Wire wheel, baby. Okay, look at that fill hole. Nice. All right, we're ready. Next, we're gonna do seals. Today I spent, what, like 4 hours cleaning this thing and then giving it a nice polish. Not too crazy, but enough. So now we're gonna concentrate on internals. Over here, we got random gaskets. This is for like the little solenoids or whatever the heck they're called. I got this one, also got this one, and then this is the main gasket that's inside there. We also got a new seal for the input shaft, new ball, pivot ball, new fork, new boot, and that is the tail shaft seal. Tail shafts right here. That's where your drive shaft goes into. So simple, we're just gonna knock those out real quick and then we can finally pull the original tranny out of my car, but that'll be for another day. Let's do this today and hopefully we can get this shit done like in the next hour. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. I'm sure it's going to be easy, but the technical part really is pulling off the old seal properly without damaging any of the existing components, because once you scratch the seal walls, you're going to have problems later. So our first job will be this guy and this seal. This seal goes right behind the input shaft. So we take out the 6 bolts right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then replace the gaskets. And we'll also inspect how everything is in there, but I don't think we'll have any problems because this is a pretty good condition tranny. I mean, yeah, it was dirty, but it's low mileage and we shouldn't have any issues. So we'll start with that. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take these 12 mil bolts off. There's 6 of them. So you need a 12 mil socket. Wow, what's up with that guy? This is only supposed to be 20 foot-pounds. That guy put up a fight. This guy gave me some trouble, I don't know why, but seems alright. Alright, so we're gonna wiggle this guy off. Oh snap! Oh snap! FYI, oil is gonna come out. Should have known better. There you go. This is your cover, and that's one of our seals right there. Okay, put this guy on the side for now. I don't want to ruin my newly cleaned tranny. Wipe this down real quick. Okay. Now there are 2 seals in here. 1, 2. They look fine, so I'm not gonna touch those. There's really no need because we're not gonna keep this engine for a while anyway, so that's good. If you really want to swap those out, you can, but unless it's giving you trouble, it's best to just leave it be. Okay, so check this out. This is the OE gasket. It's pretty thin. No silicones needed here, so don't go crazy just putting silicone everywhere just because you see silicone outside the casing. You don't need silicone on this side. Put this guy aside. Here's a closer look at those two seals. You like my finger placement? So that's the upper, that's the lower. And we just gotta clean this up right here. We're gonna scrape that off with a brand new blade. Make sure we don't scrape up the aluminum itself. Just make sure to take your time, and yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Oh, look at this. This thing, they actually use red or green thread lock on this, so that's probably why it gave me such a bitch of a time right there. So we're gonna work on taking the gasket stuff off, and then we'll come back. So after you're done cleaning that, we're gonna go to this guy. Gave this thing a little polish with Duracoating to just make it slicker. And I was gonna replace this pivot ball, but it looks pretty fresh. This thing's like 25 years old, but it seems like it's still brand new. So I'm just gonna leave that there just because. On the back over here, I cleaned this up already. You can see the seal. Now, note how that seal is placed on there. See that? It needs to go back that same way, not upside down, because it will not seal properly. So I sprayed this down with Purple Power, the same stuff that I used earlier to clean the tranny, and then with just a little bit of hot water. So make sure that the mating surfaces right here perfectly flat and clean, no gunk or whatever, and then we'll be all right. So once you take this off, there's another piece here that came off. You see this? Do not forget this. You're gonna have a bad day if you do. That actually goes right here. Whoop, there you go. Almost lost it. Goes right here. Damn you. See that? This guy needs to stay here because if you don't put this back, you're gonna have a bad day. This seals against the this bearing right here. This bearing, like a little housing. See that? So make sure you put this guy back. All right, so we're gonna use a flathead screwdriver and we're gonna wedge it behind the seal and the housing. Get a closer look. See that? And then we're just gonna tap it with a hammer real quick. Nice and swift. So let's try this out. If I screw this up, you will be the first to see because it's recorded. Ready? Here we go. Oh, looks like it popped off.
Houston, we have a problem.
There you go, closer look. Nice and clean. You don't want to scratch up that wall up here because that's where your seal sits. If you scratch the front right here, it's not a big deal because there's really no sealing going on over there. It's mostly on the sides. So we're good. Right here, you can see very close. I see my cut. Over here, you can see a slight mark on the front face because that's where I use the screwdriver right here. But that's actually, it's not deep at all. But the wall right here is nice and clean. The trick is the part that was touching the wall, I sanded it down smooth. See that? So it's rounded so it doesn't scratch anything. See if I could get that a little bit closer to you guys. See that? It's like a wedge. Instead of being completely sharp, I sanded down the sharp edge. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use a little bit of oil. And you wanna do this so it slides on easily. Now remember, you wanna put this in facing up, like this. See that? Got some microfiber bits on here, but if you put this thing down like so, you're gonna have a bad day because it's not gonna seal. So what you need to do is make sure that you put it that way. You got it? So on here, I'm gonna put some lube as well. Never hurts to lube the walls here because it's gonna make your life easier when you press this in. So here we go. We're gonna press it down, and you wanna evenly press this down, all right, all around, because if you're lopsided, you're gonna be freaking pissed later, like it is now. It's starting to get loppy. Need more love on this side. See, trying to get you guys a good angle here, but y'all can see what I'm trying to do here. It's actually going in quite easy. So like I said, a little bit of lube will help. Okay, if you have a 30 mil socket like this big boy, you can actually put it over the bearing right there, and it's just a perfect size, and then you can just tap around and you'll be able to hear when it's seated because it makes a different noise. There you go. Alright, so as you can see, I cleaned up threads here on the stock bolts, and since the OE application had thread lock on it, I'm gonna apply the same green thread lock. Just gonna put a little bead here. I'm not sure if it's the same green, but if it is, then we're good. If not, that would suck. Green's actually pretty damn strong. I guess it depends on which green, but we're just gonna put that much. We're gonna apply a little bit of bearing grease. Whatever bearing grease you prefer works. Just put some on the mating surface here, and that should keep that little dongle in place. You see that? So hopefully this guy stays. There's a little bump right here because this little crevice, so we're gonna put that bump back where it belongs. So I'm assuming this is like this. Okay, press that back down, make sure that bump goes back where it is. All right, so that guy's in place. See that? He's not going anywhere. That bearing grease helped a lot. If you don't have bearing grease, go get yourself some because you're gonna need it to build a lot of things on your car. And then inside here, if you have more bearing grease, or you could use engine oil, just add some because this needs to slide onto the input shaft, so it needs to be lubed properly. If you don't lube this, you might end up ripping the seal itself. So just enough. Well, hell, if you put a lot, you're gonna know, but there. That's it. Next, put that guy away. We're gonna grab our gasket, which is over here. It's just a simple paper gasket. All right, part number is FE50-16225 Alpha. Take this guy out. Then we're gonna put it back on here, just like that. All right, by carefully placing the gasket on there, I think we'll be okay. You can look all the way around to make sure that it's mated properly. Give it a shake. Make sure it's good. And we are in. That one's tighter. All right, so the torque spec is 14 to 18, so we're gonna torque this at the high end, 18. I usually like to torque on the high end, but you can do, I don't know, 15 if you wanted to. There you go, 1. Now you wanna do this in a crisscross pattern. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. You want to kind of say this out loud so you don't forget how many you've tightened. And then one more time, just going to go through it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the tail shaft seal, and we're gonna pop this off because we have a new one somewhere down there. And this isn't that hard, really. You just need to get a little screwdriver, wedge it right here, pop this whole thing off, and then you can press the other one in. This seal has a lip right here, so it's pretty easy to pop this thing off using a screwdriver. So put your screwdriver right there, and then we're just gonna hit it with this hammer. All right, see that? Popped off on that side. Hopefully this thing doesn't go outer space like the other one. There you go. And that is your rear tail seal. Pretty simple. As you can see, this top end right here prevents it from overseating inside, so it's pretty easy to install this, and then it also acts like a little pusher. Here's our new seal, and the part number on this is B07015FO, or is that 0? 1, 0. Anyways, we're gonna put a little bit of oil right here to help it slide in. Okay, it's good. And we're gonna put some here anyways because when we put the drive shaft in, we're gonna forget, so might as well put it on now. There you go. You can't really fuck this up. You can't put it backwards because it won't go anywhere backwards, as you can see. So now we're gonna put it down like so.
Alright, we're gonna use this little half inch.
Alright, we're gonna use this 1/4 inch extension, and since we can't put a socket big enough to hammer down on the corners here, we're just gonna hammer side to side like we did in episode, what's that, 3 of the original build. So we're gonna hit it there, we're gonna hit it there, a little there, a little here. Now keep going in circle across to make sure that this seats properly. Now you can use this method for other seals as well. I learned this from Dan. If you don't have the right tool, this can save you in a pinch. And it's kind of tough to spend the money on the right tools if you only use it once or twice. Okay. Hear that? It sounds more audible. It's because it's down on the base itself. Run your fingernail through it, and if it goes through, you're gonna need to push that shit down a little bit more. If it doesn't, then you're good. But this right now looks good. That's perfect. Once it's down, you're good to go. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is swap out the gaskets here and here. Totally optional. I doubt that they'll leak, but I already bought the gaskets, might as well. There's a spring on this one, and well, this guy right here. There's a spring on this, so just be careful when you remove these guys because they might fly off
Into outer fucking space.
right over here. As you can see, I've cleaned up the gaskets. They're totally off the pieces now. So here's a gasket for that guy, gasket for that guy. Put them together, and then we'll bolt it down. I'm assuming this is probably torqued to like 15 foot-pounds or something. They're pretty tiny. Okay. then we're gonna torque it. All right, so this next step is pretty dumb proof. We're just gonna slide this new boot into place. Now you wanna buy a new boot just in case your old one's ripped. But, I mean, you should anyways, it's so cheap. It's not a big deal. There you go. Perfect. Done. Last thing, when I installed the new clutch and everything, is the shift fork. I got a new shift fork as well. There's the part number, and ooh, look at that fancy MAZDA logo. So we'll just pop this in, and then we're good. We also have a new pivot ball here, but I figured mine's good. I really don't need to take this off. So if someone needs to buy one, hit me up. I got an extra. All right, kids, that's it. We're done. So to recap what we've done, tail shaft seal replaced. Oh, and these caps right here, this one and the other side replaced. Up here, we've also replaced the gasket for that cap and then the seal inside. And that's pretty much it. That's how to bomb-proof your new tranny swap, because you never know. Oh, and I got a new boot and a shift fork. You never know because, man, all trannies look the same when you get them. They're dirty and they're whatever, and you won't know until you actually run the car to see if they leak. And if they do leak, you're gonna have to take everything apart just to swap out a stupid seal over there. So save yourself the hassle. The parts are cheap, and you know, it only took me what, an hour to do this, including filming, and filming takes forever because you got to redo things.
All right, we're gonna use this little half inch.
So this is a great time to do all this before you drop it in the car. Next thing, I'm gonna drop my tranny, and hopefully this thing works.